Sue Gray has hinted at implications rippling far beyond Boris Johnson in her Partygate report, as details buried in the 60-page document reveal that Number 10 staff thought they got away with it in private texts sent to one another about parties that broke COVID-19 rules. Boris Johnson has apologised again to MPs in the House of Commons for attending his birthday party in Downing Street in June 2020 that broke England's COVID-19 rules. The Prime Minister was fined by the Metropolitan Police over the gathering, which has now been investigated in civil servant Sue Gray's devastating report. Ms. Gray covered a total of 16 parties that were thrown on government property between May 2020 and April 2021, when much of the country was struggling with life under draconian COVID restrictions. Her 60-page report published on Wednesday contains a string of shocking details, including that staff were sick and drank excessively at parties, as well as damaging property, and that cleaning staff were poorly treated. Ms. Gray laid the blame at Mr. Johnson's door, writing in her conclusion that the senior leadership at the centre, both political and official, must bear responsibility for this culture. However, in her report, some of the hidden details give an insight into staff's involvement and what they thought about the events, showing that the implications reach beyond the Prime Minister. Ms. Gray had access to dozens of texts and emails exchanged between people in Downing Street. One message comes from the civil servant Martin Reynolds, who admitted he thought staff had got away with a gathering in the Number 10 garden on May 20, 2020, at a time when people were allowed to mix with one other household outdoors due to COVID cases. The principal private secretary to the Prime Minister resigned over the Partygate scandal in February of this year and has since been replaced. At the 2020 gathering, attended by around 40 staff, Mr. Reynolds was pictured with the Prime Minister, his wife Carrie and his then senior advisor, Dominic Cummings. After the event, a special advisor thanked Mr. Reynolds via email for organizing the drinks in the garden. In a subsequent WhatsApp message, Mr. Reynolds told a special advisor, "Best of luck. A complete non-story, but better than them focusing on our drinks, which we seem to have got away with." Mr. Reynolds also told staff the event was a bring-your-own-booze gathering, according to Ms. Gray's report. The report also includes a WhatsApp message to Mr. Reynolds from a Number 10 advisor who appeared to be cautious about the partygoers being found out by journalists covering a COVID press conference on the same day. They wrote, "Just to flag that the press conference will probably be finishing around that time." So helpful if people can be mindful of that as speakers and cameras are leaving, not walking around waving bottles of wine, etc. Mr. Reynolds replied, "Will do my best." In her report, Ms. Gray also details how the Prime Minister brought cheese and wine from his flat to the event. Other subtle details of the report come in the conclusion, in which the civil servant hints at disciplinary action. So far, the main action taken over the parties has been the fines handed out by the Met Police, including those given to Mr. Johnson, his wife and the Chancellor Rishi Sunak for attending the Prime Minister's 56th birthday party on June 19. In total, the Met has fined 83 individuals, with 28 people receiving between 2 and 5 fines. But Ms. Gray's report appears to make reference to potential further punishments for those involved. She writes, "The matter of what disciplinary action should now take place is outside of the scope of this report and is for others to consider." She adds, "While there is no excuse for some of the behavior set out here, it is important to acknowledge that those in the most junior positions attended gatherings at which their seniors were present, or indeed organized. I have no doubt that they will have taken the learning from this experience and, while this is not a matter for me, I hope this will be taken into account in considering any disciplinary action." Speaking to MPs during Prime Minister's questions shortly after the report was published on Wednesday, Mr. Johnson said he took full responsibility for the scandal, and said he had been humbled by Ms. Gray's investigation. He said he had learned a lesson and repeated his apology to the people of Britain, adding, "I also want to say above all that I take full responsibility for everything that took place on my watch."